In the unforgiving combat arena, where warriors clash in pursuit of glory, sometimes emotions run high, tempers flare, and control is lost. Join us as we explore the electrifying moments when fighters push beyond their limits, where the line between victory and defeat blurs, and where passion can sometimes ignite into an explosive spectacle. Now let's dive into the fiery world of boxing, where a showdown for the ages unfolded between none other than Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis in 2002. Brace yourself for this epic tale of tension and flying fists. During their intense face-off, Tyson's fuse was shorter than a matchstick. He erupted into a frenzy, hurling punches in Lewis's direction, itching for a brawl right then and there. Chaos reigned as security rushed in to separate the fiery pair, making this an unforgettable moment in boxing history. In fact, this electrifying spectacle earned the prestigious title of the Ring's Event of the Year for 2002, a testament to its significance in the world of boxing. Ironically, Tyson's fiery outbursts seemed to have backfired on him in the end. In the actual match, he met his match as a devastating right cross from Lewis in the 8th round sent Tyson crashing to the canvas, sealing his defeat. The boxing world will never forget this explosive encounter. Up next, we have the highly anticipated lightweight title clash at UFC 229 between McGregor and Nurmagomedov. McGregor, the Irishman, had been absent from the octagon for nearly 2 years, losing his title in the process. On the flip side, the unbeaten Russian Khabib stood as the reigning champion. In the 4th round, Khabib managed to take Conor down, eventually securing a victory with a neck crank. But oh boy, what happened next was truly shocking. Khabib leapt over the cage like a man possessed and unleashed his fury on one of Conor's coaches, Dylan Danis, who had been relentlessly taunting him from outside the octagon. Inside the cage, pandemonium broke loose as 2 of Khabib's teammates stormed in, targeting Conor, who was still catching his breath after the submission. The ring transformed into pure chaos and bedlam, with security struggling to regain control. McGregor, no stranger to a fight, managed to hold his own, but it wasn't long before security personnel tackled him. In the end, the brawl had no victor. Both fighters faced suspensions and fines, and 3 members of Khabib's entourage found themselves banned from the UFC. It all started when Jon Jones decided to give UFC Senior Director of Public Relations Dave Schaller an unexpected flying lesson off the back of the stage. Then, without hesitation, Jones surged forward and swung a punch in Cormier's direction. But that was just the beginning of the chaos. The 2 light heavyweights found themselves in an impromptu tumble off the stage, fiercely exchanging punches as if they were in the midst of a no-holds-barred match. They were only separated after the relentless exchange, and that's when things got even weirder. Cormier resorted to using his shoe as a projectile, launching it at Jones with surprising accuracy. And just when you thought it was over, the 2 fighters continued their heated exchange off-camera after an ESPN interview. The entire squad had to step in to help this boxer understand a simple truth. The match had already concluded, and the person he was gripping tightly was not his opponent, but the referee himself. This bout serves as a vivid example that a barrage of blows can leave you befuddled, even if you haven't been flattened on the canvas. Have you ever wondered how someone can snatch victory in just half a minute but end up in a heap of trouble? Well, picture this: Rousimar Pujarás, the guy who managed to do just that. He tangled with Mike Pierce, and in the blink of an eye, he had him locked in a heel hook. It was looking like a quick win for Pujarás, but then things got wild. Pujarás didn't let go. Oh no, he clung onto that heel hook for an eternity, even when Pierce was waving the white flag like he was surrendering in a Wild West shootout. And just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, Pujarás decided to throw in a little extra twist for good measure, twisting that heel like he was trying to unscrew a really stubborn jar of pickles. But as they say, every party has a pooper, and in this case, it was Dana White. The UFC honcho was fuming. He then stripped Pujarás of his submission of the night bonus, And if that wasn't bad enough, he also gave him the boot from the UFC. This was the moment that ignited a fierce rivalry. A rivalry that would define women's MMA for years to come. In one corner, you had the reigning champ, Miesha Tate, and in the other, the emerging superstar, Ronda Rousey. She methodically shed her leather jacket before taking her place on the scale. Tate, on the contrary, made weight effortlessly and approached Rousey, her demeanor brimming with determination. The tension reached its peak when Tate lowered her stance and boldly initiated contact by locking heads with Rousey. But that's when things took an explosive turn. Rousey's fiery spirit couldn't be contained, and she lunged at Tate, their heads colliding in a clash of wills. In the pages of MMA history, this face-off was merely the prologue. Our next character appears to be living in a world of denial, adding an extra layer of satisfaction to his loss. The icing on the cake is that he had exuded quite the arrogance during his pre-match interviews, but when the fateful knockout blow arrived and he found himself defeated, he decided to spin the narrative. His attempt to downplay the loss involved claiming that it wasn't the knockout that led to his defeat, but rather a cut he suffered during the bout. He insisted it was his doctor who ultimately decided to call the match. Well, you know what they say, everyone's entitled to their own version of reality, right? Let me take you back to one of the wildest chapters in Jason Miller's extensive MMA journey, the infamous Strikeforce Nashville Brawl. This chaotic showdown unfolded right before our eyes during a live TV broadcast. It was April 17, 2010, when the Strikeforce Nashville fight card hit the stage. The night's main event featured a fierce battle for the Strikeforce middleweight title with defending champ Jake Shields taking on the challenger Dan Henderson. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Shields, who happened to be a close pal and long-standing teammate of the Diaz brothers, successfully retained his title by outdueling Henderson in a unanimous decision. But the real drama unfolded during Shields' post-fight interview inside the cage. Against all odds, Jason Miller somehow managed to sneak past the security team, bypassing all authorized entry, and crashed the interview. You see, in their previous encounter in 2009, Shields had claimed victory over Miller via unanimous decision. Miller, it seemed, had come to demand his shot at redemption. Unfazed, Shields and his comrade, Gilbert Melendez, swiftly pushed Miller aside. That's when Nick Diaz decided to join the party, throwing a punch at Miller that set off a colossal brawl right there in the cage. Pandemonium took over as Nick Diaz, Nate Diaz, Gilbert Melendez, Jake Shields, and the whole Cesar Gracie Jiu-Jitsu squad pounced on Jason Miller. So that's all for today's episode. Folks, if you enjoyed watching, leave a like and share it with your friends. You can also comment and let us know what you'd like to see from this channel in the future. Also, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. You'll want to check out our other videos. Stay tuned for more awesomeness. Thanks for watching.